screen share the whole time, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mango and the branches would have been really good on you because, like, they can't really do anything to you. They can't slowly harass you out when you have that, and branches are usually shit. But on a hero like Enchantress, the 40 health can be a lot, and the 2 damage, because all of your like harass is your right clicks, and you can right click a bunch with your long range and your boots and your 380 movement speed. So with a mango, with your passive, with your wisps, there's like they can't really do anything to you. And then right now you'd be able to finish the wand if you wanted to.
Maybe I shouldn't even bother harassing lifestealers.
No, it's you should, because when he gets last hits, it's so how his heal works is it's based off of the amount of health they currently have, and usually he's attacking when they have less than like 60 health, so he doesn't heal too much from it unless he's attacking full health creeps. It's just kind of like you could have attacked him a lot more by now in the same amount of time. For example, you could be right-clicking him right now, which you're kind of doing, but you're kind of like missing a lot. Like right now, you probably could have right-clicked him like 4 times, but you've only right-clicked him once because you're like running around and stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're constantly harassing him, it's going to the way that I explain this is kind of how I explain health regen. So I'll start with that. It's kind of like and it's mostly the logic behind when to buy a wand and when not to. Let's say you're taking 300 damage per second or per minute, and you have 1 health regen, as opposed to 4 health regen. The 1 health regen person's going to be taking 240 damage per second. The 4 health regen person's going to be taking 60 damage per second. And then if you give both of those guys 1 more health regen, the 4 health regen person's going to be taking 0 damage. And the 1 health regen person's going to go to 2, and he's going to take like 180 or 160 damage. So, in that case, a little bit of regen on somebody that has a lot of regen, when it pushes you over the amount of harass you're taking, it makes you invincible. Does that make sense?
Right.
So then, if we take that into consideration, and then we change the harassing from, let's say this guy, he has 3 health regen, he's getting from that 180, and then let's say he gets another 100 per minute from right clicking, or I don't know how accurate that is, but let's say he gets around 300 health per minute just passive. So if you're harassing him right now and you're doing 320, it's next to useless. You're only doing, or let's say actually you're doing 280 when he's regenning 300. It's as good as not doing anything. But if you can do like 25% more, that means that you're doing like 100 damage per minute that he's not recuperating. Does that make sense?
Right.
So if you do it a little bit better, it can mean a lot more damage.
Okay.
Also,
I guess
Um, you don't. This isn't worth it. You're gonna be pushing the wave to get this one right click on him. Like pulling these under the tower makes it so it's gonna stop being here a lot quicker. Like the lane's gonna push no matter what, but you made it push harder and quicker. And at this point, he's kind of like, he's strong enough that your harass isn't going to be doing much to him, no matter how much you right click him, just because of like how far ahead he is right now. So with that in mind, I would want to be harassing the disruptor, because the disruptor gives them kill potential, and if the disruptor has to go back to base, then you can at least stay in the lane and get your farm. And you want to be doing that until you get your phase boots, because when you get your phase boots, then you're back in a position where he's not so much stronger than you that you can't do anything about it.
Right.
Also, here I would like to, I'd like to see you using like creep aggro more. You can be pulling these guys back farther, which makes you safer and him more in danger. And like if you pull these creeps onto your range creep, you can end up having the lane push towards you, even though your lane or your creep wave right now is a lot stronger than theirs. So if you just right click this guy and then run like this way, so that when these guys de-aggro, they're like right here and the range creep is the closest thing to them.
Yeah, I don't really use too much creep aggro when I'm playing range heroes. I guess I should do it more often.
Yeah.
I only normally use it when I'm playing melee offlaners.
See, now you do enough damage that you can harass them out with your phase boots. Lol. Feels bad. See, like right here, what's stopping you from just right-clicking him this whole time?
I'm afraid of disruptor, I guess.
Well, that was like 3 right-clicks, and even, like, you're staying here,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, I'm in the same place, pretty much.
Yeah. Right now, you could have probably right-clicked him like 6 times. And that's just kind of like how you get the advantage on heroes like Enchantress and Windrunner. It's knowing how to harass and doing it completely. And now, if you had done those 6 right clicks, he would have backed sooner, he would have missed 2 last hits, or he would be dead right now. Or you would have done the same amount of harass without having to use your whole mana pool.
Right.
Here, I'd be like, yeah, now he has to back, because you're playing it
How much health does he have?
500-ish, but he was at 330. But that's good, you identified that you're strong enough to push him out, and you bodied him. But yeah, it's like you identified it, but there were a lot more times that you could have done the same sooner if you had right-clicked or harassed more effectively.
Okay.
I'd
I've never
also
played.
go ahead.
I've never played the Enchantress lifesteal matchup before,
Well, it's
but
the
it's a
same
lot
as most
easier.
anything. You just right click them a lot and try to not take damage.
It's a lot easier playing versus like a jug. Can't believe that Sunstraight missed me.
You're just too good.
I die here. I got too aggressive when
Yeah.
spirits were.
That's like a play that would have been fine if there weren't two supports there within the past like 20 seconds. It's like if you haven't seen anyone down there, like if there's a 5% chance there's supports down there, it's fine. But if there's like more than that, it's starting to get risky. Because if you got that spear, it'd be a good amount of damage, and a good amount of damage can change how the lane goes. But if there's also like above a 20% chance you just die from it, it's not worth it. I also would have rather seen you go for the Bracer first over the Sage's Mask. Because that gives you 7 health. It's only like 2, or 7 strength. It's only 2 more than you have now. But this is kind of like super meh. Sage's Mask sucks right now. Like, Urn of Shadows is basically just as efficient as Sage's Mask. Per gold for mana regen. Plus it does everything else. And then like also, Infused Raindrop gives you more regen for less, and it does more. So I don't like the value of Sage's Mask right now. And Bracers makes you a lot harder to kill because that's 140 health, which on a hero like this is, it means that you get, it's like 3 more attacks before you die, but those attacks are slowed, and you have this regenning the whole time, so it's more like you survive 7 more seconds instead of like 2 or 3. And she dies to nukes and then a few right clicks. So like usually if you kill an Enchantress, half of it or more is going to be from nukes, and then you're going to like finish her off with right clicks. But if your nukes aren't doing enough, then your right clicks, you're going to have to right click twice as much. So it's like, does that make sense?
Right.
Okay. Like if the burst isn't enough to get you low enough, then the right clicks aren't going to be able to finish you off. And the Bracer helps you with that. Yeah, so at this point you guys need to be pushing down all their towers or you're going to lose the game. You have your drums, you have your Aegis, you guys should go for this tier 2. You should be popping your drums here too. Like if you popped your drums, it would have been dead by now, and you'd be on to the tier 2. And at this point it's kind of like, so this is more of a like overall thing, but would you agree that your goal is to end before 25 minutes?
I wasn't even sure how we could win this game, so but in hindsight, I guess yes.
Okay, so well, as long as you understand right now, so with that understanding, does it matter if your tier 1 dies?
I guess not. No.
Yeah, they can take all of your tier 2s if your objective is to have their Raxes at 20-25 minutes. Like, when you have Mega Creeps, do you care if you have your tier 1 or your tier 2?
Right.
So with that in mind, it's like, alright, we're gonna get this tier 2, and then we're gonna be done with the top lane for a while. They're gonna get the tier 1 mid, but like, whoop-de-fucking-do. We're just gonna like, go bottom, and then push this out, and then come back mid and push that out. Get the next Roche, and then end the game. And it doesn't matter what towers they take, because even if you could make a trade where all of the towers were just destroyed right now, wouldn't that be a trade you'd definitely be willing to take? Like, if you could delete all of the tier 2s and tier 1s off of both sides, wouldn't that be better for you guys?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because they can't push high ground in the next 10 to 15 minutes, but you guys could, like, right now, if all of the towers were down. So, with that in mind, it's like, alright, well, whoop-de-fucking-do. And, that would... With that in mind, does it make sense that you would want to push the tier 2 here instead of defending the tier 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it's kind of like, you guys defended it to just let it fall later for almost free. Like, you guys get the... It might look like this was a trade, but it's kind of like... I don't know. This tower was free for you guys. And this is just, they got it because it had only 200 health. So, if this was full health, they wouldn't be able to get it because you would just like drums and delete this and then go back mid. But you, how do I put it? If you guys didn't fall back mid here to defend it, they would have taken it, and you would have taken this, and then you would have taken this, and they would have taken nothing. So you defended it to let it fall for free. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're in the mindset of, okay, we need to take all the tier 1s before we take the tier 2s. But you guys are strong enough that you can just take the tier 2s at 15 minutes. And that's just understanding your matchup, or your lineup. With Undying, Ursa with an Aegis, and Enchantress, you guys can, especially with your drums, you guys can easily be taking tier 2s right now. So I think that's kind of like a mental, like, I guess, thought pattern that you've picked up that you've never questioned, which is what happens with a lot of people, where it's like, well, yeah, of course, you take all the tier 1s, and then you take the tier 2s, and it's like, is that kind of, do you think that's kind of how you think?
I couldn't take the T2s by myself. I would need the whole team.
Well, usually if you run there and you're, like, if you move your character there, your team's gonna be like, oh wait, we're doing that? Okay, I'll stay. But go ahead.
I don't really make the calls at this stack because everyone else is much higher.
Oh. Oh, gotcha. But does that...
But normally, yeah, if like I play solo queue, then I will just try and take the T2s by myself.
Okay.
And sometimes people will come in and help, and sometimes they won't.
Well, I mean, would you push this tier 2 with these tier 1s still up? And if this was a pub game, would you feel comfortable pushing this when we talked about it? Assuming that there wasn't something going on here. Because I think it's very...
I definitely push the T2s when, like, I'm playing solo queue, and the whole team is fighting somewhere else, and I'm just left alone in the bottom lane. I'll just try and take it down by myself. And just play like a brood mother, essentially.
Okay.
Staying in my lane.
Yeah. That's... I think a lot of times people... like, logically, it's or 90% of the time, it's like, yeah, you want to take all the tier 1s and then move to the tier 2s. But I think a lot of people get stuck on, we have to take every tier 1 every game instead of being able to take tier 2s. And if that's a pattern of yours, which I don't know if it is or not, that's a good thing to be mindful that it's not correct always.
Right. Yeah, we should have taken that T2 top when we had the chance.
Yeah, and this is...
now the lanes are not pushed, and it's going to take a little while.
Yeah, I don't like what you're doing here. You definitely need to be pushing this tower. You see the Invoker, you see the Disruptor. I would be moving the Catapult in here, and then you can stay as long as you want, because it'll still be attacking this just as well, but you'll be seeing any teleports coming in. And then you guys run top, but what are you guys gonna do if you get a kill top?
Yeah.
By the time that, like, if you kill the Earth Spirit, by the time you get to their tier 2, he's gonna be back up. And it's just, there aren't any objectives. Like, you're not really defending this because they don't really want to push that yet without their whole team, and just throwing an ice armor on it, and it's decently fine. So you're not super defending this, and you're definitely not pushing this with or without any kills. So you guys are wasting the time that you should be trying to break their tier 2s into high ground to run around and look for kills, when the only reason you really want kills is because it allows you to get objectives. Whereas right now, you could just be killing this objective. Like, you and Ursa aren't scared of Lifestealer and Disruptor. I just woke up. But yeah, you guys run up here and it's like, alright, you guys are not doing anything. Like, if you get these kills, that's cool, but it's not gonna actually do anything. Now you just have 4 people pushing out a lane. Yeah, this guy gets it. And now you guys come back here. This should have already been taken. Feels bad. You could have wanded. I think that would have saved you there, actually. Yeah. I'm fairly certain if you wand there, you live. And also, if you took this tower before, this fight wouldn't be happening. Or if it did happen, you wouldn't be taking as much damage. I don't know if the tower was on you, but still, it's your teammates aren't going to want to go in as deep to help you if there's a tower there and all that. Lol. I think the game's pretty much over at this point. You guys missed your timing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Do you want to go over another one, or wait? I think you had.
Let's go to another one.
Sure.
It's the Beastmaster game. We actually win this game, but we can just go over the first like 10 minutes.
Sure. Is it this one?
Yes.
Yeah, this is another. You guys are a very heavy push lineup. But they're also a very heavy defend lineup with the Pudge and the Techies. So, Usually, your lineup is fine to push between 10 minutes and 30 minutes just because of your innate abilities. But they can't really defend until like 15 or 20 minutes. Because this guy won't have his mines, this guy's hook won't be high enough level. So they can't properly defend. So you're either going to want to push early or go greedy and push late. Does that make sense?
What do you mean by go greedy? Just like farm a lot of items?
Yeah, like get Mask of Madness and Manta on this and just jungle a lot and keep the lanes pushed out. Not going Helm of Dominator would be more of a greedy. Like if you went bots, Necro, Blink Dagger, Vlad's AC or something like that. More of a farming. Because like Helm of Dom falls off pretty quickly. And then like this guy, yeah, his build's more centered towards that. Basically just not picking up, like, if you got a drums or something, that would be better for the early, but it would be worse for the greedy.
Okay.
So it's kind of like...
I wasn't really sure, like, sometimes I take a look at these lineups, I'm not really sure what my window is, or, like, what the different options are.
It's kind of... how do I put it? A lot of it is experience, which I can't, like, really distill down, but understanding that techies and Pudge are great defenders, right?
Right.
But do you understand how they're not that great until a certain point?
Yeah, I see that.
Like this guy, like let's say he gets his shit at level 15 or at 15 minutes, and you push at 15 minutes, he's gonna have like one or two of his ults. Oh shit, they reduced the cooldown since I looked at him last. But the longer you wait, the more mines he's gonna have, and if you push before he even has the mines, it's a 4v5. And if you push before this guy like has his level 7, then his hook's not as long as he wants it to be. And if you wait even longer, he's going to be able to hook you into a bunch of mines with an Aether Lens, so the range of this is 1500 instead of, or 1550 instead of 1200.
Right.
And that extra, the extra 350 is, I don't look at it as like 30% more, I look at it as like twice as much. Because if you're sitting right here with a 1200 hook, your hook like reaches there. But with the extra 1350, the hook reaches to like right there. So instead of this domain being where you can hook, it's like all of this. Does that make sense?
Right.
How just a little bit more range can... So these guys don't defend until later on. This guy doesn't have any wave clear. This guy also doesn't... He kind of does, but not really. He has a lot if he gets an Ags, and an Invoker also doesn't have any wave clear. So if you guys decide to push at 15 minutes, what is their defense?
Okay.
And that's kind of like just... I guess that's more of a... Getting a deeper understanding of how heroes work. Like, I think it's easy... You understand that these guys are better at... They're great defenders at a certain point, but they're horrible before that. And it's just kind of like... You have to realize that for every single hero in the game, how they actually operate. And then you can start to... Or you can start to understand it whenever, but to get a truly accurate prediction of how the lane or how the game's going to play out and how you need more of a deeper understanding of how the heroes work in the game. Not like you don't have to specifically know where Techie's mines or anything, but just knowing that he doesn't defend high ground that well until he's had his remote mines and had them for a while. Then he gets a lot more scary. And if you understand just that much, that's like, okay, well, we have an early game window where even you could just do something like push really hard for the first 15 minutes, try and get as many towers as you can, and then hold off because you know he's going to have mines, and farm from there. and then wait until you have Necro 3s or a gem, and then push again. So things like that, you'll start to understand the more in depth you know all the individual heroes. And then when you know all these guys individually, you know that none of them have wave clear until like 15-20 minutes. And then you guys can come online with just like level 7 on your Luna and level 6 on you, and your Venge having like 1 point in her aura.
So in this case, that would be maxing my W and not my Q.
Yeah. If you, well, it depends on what route you go, because you still have the two options. You can push early, and try and end it that way, or you can kind of push early, but more focus on the later game. And I don't know Beastmaster's build too much right now. I don't know how much this actually helps you farm. But with that knowledge, and if you have more knowledge of Beastmaster, you could figure out from there. Does that make sense?
Right.
Also use your quick buy. Nice. Feels bad. Yeah, so when you see this lane, what are you thinking?
They're gonna try and just run on top of me and get the slow off and then silence me if they have mind. I mean, if he has a suicide or whatnot. If I don't get slowed by the lance and the pudge, then I won't die.
Yeah. Also, the other thing is if you get hooked in here. So...
Right. And pudge is showing right now, so he's not too scared.
Yeah. So, the way that you win the lane is just... This was really good. I probably wouldn't have done this, but I don't play Beastmaster. But this was really good, and then if you just stay in this area, they can't kill you. Unless you're, like, right here and you get hooked, like, here or something. But
and I think he has level 1 rot, not level 1 hook.
And if he hooks you without rot, you're also fine. And if he hooks you and you just TP out, you're also fine.
Yeah.
So, your win condition is standing here. Which is a funny win condition, but it's true. Because Pudge isn't really gonna run up on you if you're standing on over here enough. Like, now you know Pudge is over here. I should be more on this side. And then he wraps around, which if you run this way, you're fine. If you run up there.
Got greedy.
Yeah, a little bit.
I made a mistake here. TP to base instead of TP to my T1.
Yeah.
The wave is pushing though, so...
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse, but... You want to be able to... Like, being able to... That probably hurt your laning 5 or 10%. And that 5 or 10% could be the amount that puts you ahead and makes you dominate the lane. Like, if you get an early ring of health, as opposed to not getting one, they can't really do anything to you at that point. Or they can still kill you from full, but they can't push you out.
Alright, so the 5K player on my team told me I'm supposed to win this matchup, like, hardcore, but I felt like... See, I'm trading there, but, like, it feels like PL is trading better than I am.
It's probably because you're not using your boar. So, the boar would give you a lot more trade potential. Because he's slowed.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. And
Yeah.
he does more damage.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of like when he's ahead of you, there's nothing you're gonna do to stop him, so it's pointless to even go there. When he got in front of you, you should have just ran back to the lane.
Okay.
And here, it's a small thing, but the chances of you needing your clarity all of a sudden, as opposed to needing a tango all of a sudden, the tango would save your life, the clarity would, like, you're not gonna just run out of mana accidentally in the next 5-6 seconds, but you might get ran at and need to eat a tree, and you live with 100 health.
Alright, so if I have boar at level...
If you have a boar, whenever you see the pudge come around, you can just slow him and run away.
Oh, that's a good point, too.
Like,
This wall of Actus build did not work out very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, even level 1 boar is enough to keep the pudge from being able to stay on you. Because, like, Pudge's thing is he gets on top of you, and then he stays on top of you. But with Boar, you can keep him from getting on top of you, or if he does get on top of you, and you have boots and he doesn't, you're still faster than him, I think.
Right.
And that's only from a 10% slow. If you're maxing this, like, he wouldn't be able to do anything at all. And I think if you go the Wild Axe build, you need to go Soul Ring too. But I'm not sure. Because to be casting the spell that you're maxing often enough, you need that extra mana. But to be casting this off cooldown, you don't need any extra mana regen to do that. Your base mana regen covers this. But if you want to spam this, you'll be out of mana in 40 seconds. And then the Soul Ring is really not bad on this guy at all, though. So if you're going the Axis build, I would definitely think about this, because this is enough to sustain you in lane. With a Soul Ring and a Magic Wand, and like they can't push you out of lane, because that's 3.5 more regen and 8 more strength, which makes it like 4 health regen from these items, and then you have all of the mana in the world. And you can just spam out axes over and over and over. And what are they going to do when they're taking 240 damage every 8 seconds?
Yeah, I decided
Also, your boars are really good for scouting out mines and everything. So
if I was going the boar build, would I even level up? I just have 1 point in axes. It would be like a 1-2, 1-3, 2, 1-1.
You would probably. I don't know. I don't know how much the damage amp matters right now. So I can't say for certain, but you would definitely want to go like 1-4-1-1. Because the first point in this is really good. And the first point in this allows you to, like, the utility of cutting down all the trees, and the ability to get last hits with it is also pretty good. So, and then I don't know which one you max, again, because I don't know how much the damage amp actually matters in your kill potential. So I can't say with that. And then here, I would have rather seen you roar the Pudge, because this is gonna still hit the Omni Knight, but the Omni Knight's basically dead right now. Ish, I don't know. He might, yeah, his repel's on cooldown for 22 seconds. There's no way that he's getting out. Like if he TPs, he's just gonna get eclipsed or lucent beamed. Because this, you can pretty reliably assume that your Luna's gonna have this get to cancel TPs if she's all the way back here. Because
Right.
she would have to cast it 2 seconds ago for her not to be able to cancel a TP. And he would have to TP right now. So if you roar the Pudge, you get both of the kills here.
Was I in range for the punch?
Yeah. If you right-clicked it on him right when you got there. Plus
Okay.
you have more movement speed than him. So if you just keep running at him, like he's at 300 movement speed right now. You're at, I think, does one of your teammates have drums? It showed you getting, oh, you got the roar bonus. Okay, so you had 5 more movement speed than him. But if you just kept running at him and held your roar, even if you couldn't get the roar, he still wouldn't be able to. Like, the Luna also should have been chasing, but whatever. But that's kind of like one of the... That's identifying when a hero is dead with or without you, and then seeing if you can go for more with your abilities. And that's something that I learned a lot with Pudge, because I'd be hooking... Like, let's say... in that same exact situation with the Omni Knight and the Pudge, I would oftentimes be going on the Omni Knight when the Omni Knight is dead anyways, whereas if I just kept chasing the Pudge, I'd be able to like hit him with a hook or something, if we're assuming that you're also a Pudge.
Right. So if I'm going greedy, I go necro. If I think we can make that 15-minute push window, I go, well, I already skilled up incorrectly for that, so.
Yeah, at this point, I would have liked to seen you get a Soul Ring if you're gonna go greedy with the Axe build, because it allows you to farm a lot. Like, your farm speed is capped by your magic. And Soul Ring gives you a fuck ton of... Or your mana. And Soul Ring gives you a fuck ton of mana. So Soul Ring would speed up your farm a lot.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you went the wrong build, skill build, and then you went the wrong item build with the skill build that you went. No flame though. And see here, you should take the tier 2. Hopefully you guys stay. Yeah, like what's stopping you from taking this tier 2 right now? And it's because you ran off in this direction. If you just stayed or got the creep and immediately ran back to the tower, the team probably would have stayed, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And if you stay, what the fuck are they gonna do? They have a techies that doesn't have any mines. He is a fucking Mask of Madness. Alright, so the techies doesn't have any mines here. They all just respawned. All they have is a Pudge, a PL, and an Invoker, and then a Repel on somebody. But this guy's super fucking weak. I guess he has a Diffusal Blade, but he's still super easy to kill if you can isolate him. This guy's fucking... What the hell? He says... Alright, but this guy's still also weak. And then this guy's a non-factor, and this guy's only a factor based off of the strength of his teammates. which is very low. So if you guys just push this, they can't stop you. So this is another game where it's looking like you're going to be skipping a lot of towers that you shouldn't be skipping. Did you say you just wanted to go over the early game of this?
Yeah, we can go to another game.
Sure.
How much time do we have?
One sec. We have... Where are you? Oh, lol. We actually didn't have any... What? How did I get out? We didn't have any time before we started. You have 0 hours right now, I think.
Oh.
Rip.
Maybe we'll use some time.
Huh?
What time did we start at? I don't even remember.
Uh...
I thought we started at 3, but maybe we didn't start earlier than that.
Well, like, you don't have any hours right now at all.
No, I purchased an hour.
Did you? Today?
No, yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did it on Gamer Sensei?
I did it on the other site.
Okay.
Yeah, Gamer Sensei.
Okay. So we have another, like, 10-15 minutes then.
Okay. But can we go over this Tango replay?
Sure. Which one?
It's still...
Also, I probably have, like, 1 or 2 games on this guy, so...
Oh. Well, actually, in that case, let's go over the most recent replay, the Slardar.
Sure.
And we just need to go over the early game.
Alright. Can you go on Gamer Sensei? We have to, like, say that we're doing it, for the hour while this is loading.
We have to...
We have to, like, agree on a time and then, like, say that we're doing it right now.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't remember my password.
Feels bad.
Okay, I remembered it, actually. Okay, so what do I need to do? Oh, schedule.
Yeah, here, I'll schedule one for 4.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we can just... Seems your student needs to finish their profile before you can schedule a lesson. The fuck does that even mean?
What does that even...
Can you try and schedule it?
Oh, I didn't confirm my account or something. Okay, I tried to confirm, but the page wasn't working.
I can try and do it. Maybe it'll work now. Still says you're not finished with your profile. I don't even know what that means.
Oh, I think I just tried to schedule it.
Yeah, I think so. Except, I think we're good then. Um, so going through this, when you don't have regen, like I guess it's fine that you don't have it because you and like whatever. I think you had to buy a ward, but when you don't have regen, you don't want to be the one doing this. You don't want to be the face of the gank because the damage that you take from the Rubik is going to be permanent. So it's like what you did was fine. It's just I don't really like too much that you were taking the attacks here and you were in the front here. Like if the Sand King was in front and he was the one taking the attacks, it would be fine. And again, you're not using your quick buy.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what I'm buying because I don't really play position 4 and position 5 too frequently. So.
With this right here, it's kind of annoying, but what you have to do is stand like
I missed.
What?
The creep pulls in the tower range. It's such a smaller window on the dire side.
What happened was you pulled it through and then they aggroed up to the range creep. So what you do to fix that is just stand right here and then right click this guy and they'll aggro to you and then they'll default like when they drop off of you they'll fall here.
Okay.
And what you want to be buying on this guy is Tranquils. Tranquil, it's weird with this guy. You can, if you get Wand and you get 4 staff early, you can skip Tranquils. Or if you get the 10 talent, like it's kind of weird. I don't know. Like you can. He's in a weird spot where if you can get away with just getting the 10 talent, it's really good to skip the Tranquils and just go for like a Blink Dagger. So, but if the game's not going great, like Tranquils, Orb of Venom, and then Blink Dagger is the route you want to go. And I'm not 100% sure, but when I played the guy, I really like maxing this. Get 2 points in this and then max this. Because when you have it maxed, you run at 700 movement speed through the river.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, and that's even if they slow you, you're still at 700, I'm pretty sure. Which makes it so, unless they have stuns and you're not by a river, they can't really kill you.
I don't think I'm dying. It's target you kill.
Neither of them are really targets you can kill unless the Pingolier uses his swashbuckle, because he can just escape with that.
I feel like the only person I could probably kill is the sniper. Even the shrapnel makes it difficult.
So right now, what you want to be looking at for the lanes is you can zone these guys if the creep wave is all the way back here. With Bane. So if you have it here, which means you and do that shit, and then you guys stand here, they can't really cross you. Like, if they trade even, they can't cross you. Because then, both of you guys are gonna get... You're all gonna use your spells and all get low. And they're trying to get to the creep wave, and you have a Juggernaut. So, they're going from even trying to pass you to being behind when they get to your carry, and then they're all the way up here. So then they have to run all the way back there, because now the Juggernaut's in the situation, and they're losing. Does that make sense?
Right.
So you can try and body them like that, and then whenever this guy uses his swashbuckle, you can zone him out for however long the cooldown is at his level. And then yeah, you can kill mid, but the situations that you want to look to go mid are, it's basically look at the creep wave. If the creep wave is up at your tower, you have really good kill potential. But if it's at the river or back, your kill potential drops off a lot. Like, you're probably 4 times more likely to get a kill if it's up here than if it's over here.
Right.
Feels bad.
Yeah, so I thought he was gonna run right into me, but he just turned around.
And now, this is a good time for you to pick up a Orb of Venom, because it's like, it's gonna be so long before you get your Blink Dagger, that the Orb of Venom's just gonna, it's gonna do a good amount, and the slow stacks with the Slither and Crush, so it's 32% instead of 20%, and slows stack multiplicatively, in that if somebody's 50% slowed and then you slow them for 12%, it's 24%. Whereas if you slow them for 12% when they're not slowed at all, it's only 12%. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, like if they have...
Slow on the Slithering Crush, is that after the 1.5 seconds of stun?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Or else it would be like completely stupid. Like I have no reason to think that it isn't, because you wouldn't have a slow if you have it maxed. So,
right.
But yeah, if you think about it, like if somebody's 90% slowed and then you slow them for 5%, that's a 50% slow. Does that make sense?
Right.
Also, you should have your, with your, again, your quick buy, you're oftentimes going to die. And if you die right now, you could have an Orb of Venom that you buy out and you lose 275 gold, but it goes to an item instead of 90 gold that goes to the ground. So yeah, I think your early game looks like try and body them out if the lane's up here with the Bane, or if the mid lane's pushed, you want to gank it. But that's about it. You can't do too much bottom unless like the Rubik rotates to deal with you somewhere else, and then you can definitely kill the Luna. So do you have any questions?
No. I think that's good.
Alright.
I think our time's up.
Yeah, I gotta get used to this thing. I don't know if we're good or not with that. Okay, yeah, we're good. It says we're in progress right now. But yeah, so no final questions or anything?
No.
Alright.